Well, hello to one and all. Welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Fever. It is Tuesday night, December 9th, 2025. Wherever, whenever, and however you're watching. Thanks for making us part of your week. Of course, I am Tim McClelland, representing America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, who took a tough one on the chin this past Thursday night against those Lions. There's still a chance we could win the division. I'll explain that later. But right now, I have to introduce my partner in crime here, the host of the Hooked on Sports podcast, the one and only Mr. John Flynn.
Howdy, howdy, everybody! Welcome aboard. It's going to be a fun week, and now we're now in the home stretch of the NFL's regular season. Everybody's now played the same number of games. Everybody has used their bye week, so we are all back to even number of games played, even number of games left. So, well, we have things to go into, and we got to start with the embarrassment, the disgrace that took place in our league this week, and it's that John Natali is not here today because he is mourning. Yeah, he is in mourning this morning tonight because his season is over. He is out of the playoffs. The,
Uh,
the,
from
the,
from from what I was told, he had some personal business to take care of.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, I would say I'd be disappointed too
Yeah,
if
he
it
is.
went down like this.
Yeah, he is out. Yeah, he lost to Casey, as you can see right here, by a score of 87.8 to 83.28. And
And that
and
doesn't and that only tells half of the story. Look down at the starters.
yeah, Casey did not start a defensive player, nor did maybe he forgot to pick one up this week. And his kicker was on by. He forgot to change his kicker, so this is the perfect opportunity for the Tally to waltz his way to the playoffs. But nope, it did not happen. Because he got underperformances from Emeka Egbuka, Chris Olave, and Egbuka was part of the Tally strategy this year, to go hard on the rookies. Ashton Genty and Emeka Ibuka, neither one lived up to his
Ooh.
expectations. Amari Hampton, he came close to score a potential winning touchdown last night, which would have been the ultimate OMG moment. Um, for
Right.
for for playoffs, and not his first game back from an injury he suffered a couple of months ago. And Brees Hall didn't do much either, and Baker Mayfield lost at home to the Saints. And Mark Andrews only got one catch in a loss to the Baltimore Ravens. So
I see an upside to him, and I'll explain that later. Meanwhile, over on Casey's side, the big difference is right here with the best wide receiver in the league, JSN, scored him 28.1 fantasy points.
yep, seven receptions for 92 yards and two touchdowns, and of course, and Seattle throttled Atlanta, and I told you that was my lock of the week last week,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
I believe it was the largest margin of victory any team had last week. So you had that. You also got 18 and a half points from Chase Brown as part of that slugfest against the Bills. But Patrick Mahomes threw three interceptions. Well, we'll get to his stunning his dreadful last 7 weeks on his end, but he didn't get much either from Bill Krosky Merritt. Justin Jefferson, you thought would have a good showing facing the artist formerly known as the Washington Commanders. He only scored 3.1 points. Jawan Johnson 7. The Browns defense just 6 points on the day. So where could Natalia have gone? He could have started Dallas Goedert, would have gotten him there. He could have started David Montgomery over Brees Hall or
Mhm.
Gen that would have gotten him there. Devin Neal. I didn't know why he started him. Kamani Vidal could have all he had to do was not start Brees Hall and over one of those running backs, and he would have been in the playoffs.
Wow, just unbelievable. Over on Casey's bench, left 15.2 from Amon-Ra St. Brown and 17.9 from Michael Pittman Jr. So, wow, what
Yeah,
ugly way to go out.
yeah, and now for Casey, his backup quarterback Daniel Jones is now gone for the season because of an Achilles injury he suffered in the Colts loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and no Marvin Harrison either. So, for the tally, so
All right, so both teams finish at 6-8 after this week. So now we are going to
and of course Casey made the playoffs over Natalie because Casey swept Natalie, beat him twice in the head to head this year with this which is our league tiebreaker.
right. So now let's go to we're going to go to your matchup with our man Putnam, and Putnam got you by a score of 145.94 to 107.76.
Yep, I
And
mean, and we Putnam didn't know his playoff destiny officially until this past week. That we knew he was going to be in, but it wasn't official. But yeah, I really didn't touch my roster this week because there was nothing to play for, even if I made some adjustments, I still it still would not have made a difference.
yeah, your bench scores didn't even get to double digits there. So
Not none of them did. So if there was a week where I was happy to not have to worry about anything, this was the week.
right, did get Alex did get 23.24 big points from Matthew Stafford. Got a 14-7 from Javonte Williams, 18-1 from his favorite wide receiver, Jalen Waddle. Got a 11-7 from Brian Thomas Jr. Brock Bowers with a respectable 14.6. Travis Etienne, he outplayed his projection with 21.2. The Eagles defense special teams got him 18. Meanwhile, on his bench, Tony Pollard left him 28.1 on the table, as well as 19.26 from Jordan Love, 16 from Kyle Pitts Sr., 15 from the Texans defense, and Jacoby Brissett for 1904.
Yep. So I mean, so that means Putnam's team is coming together at the right time. So he's not. I mean, so if I play Putnam in the semifinals, it's not going to be an easy matchup at all.
Right. So right there, he's got a 7-7 record. You're holding at 11-3.
Yeah, I go in as the 1 seed. Putnam will go in as the 5 seed. So Lucas went in and he smoked Andrew, who had nothing to play for, because he got 37 points from Jahmyr Gibbs, 35.7 from Puka Nacua, so he got 22 from RJ Harvey, and 16 points from the Chargers defense / special teams. So his two big stars showed up and balled out. Um, last this week.
Yep. Uh, and Andrew got a 15.98 from Bo Nix, 18-2 from Saquon Barkley, 11-2 from Derrick Henry. Lad McConkey, he underwhelmed this week, as well as Debo Samuel and Aranda Gaston. 10.8 from Trey McBride, Nick Bolton with 12 even. Broncos defense special teams got 16. And looking at, 20 points left on the table from Cameron Dicker with his nice performance from last night's matchup against the Eagles.
Yep, 5 field goals. And it's the most accurate field goal kicker of the modern era. So even more so than Brandon Aubrey now.
Hmm. And he left 14.94 on the table from Caleb Williams. Meanwhile, looking at Lucas's bench players, his stars were Trevor Lawrence left at 19.36, CJ Stroud 12.62, and the Bills defense special teams at 13 even.
Yep.
And so with that, Andrew is at 8-6 and Lucas at 10-4. Now we take a look at the matchup between Adam and Dino. Adam took this one 152.84 to 122.7. Adam's big stars were Josh Allen with a huge 37.84. Man, wasn't that a great game?
I mean,
Buffalo was
Josh.
just mad.
Josh Allen has to play like Superman if this Bills team is going to go to the Super Bowl. That he won the MVP last year based upon his body of work. Went all the way to the AFC Championship game, won a couple of playoff games at Orchard Park, and he was the reason why he was one of the two reasons alongside Christian Benford why the Bills beat the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. It was a high scoring game, but the Bills defense had a couple of big plays in that one. 20, as you can see, 22 of 28, 2 of 51, 3 touchdowns through the air, 78 rush yards and a touchdown on the ground. So yeah, it was a Josh Allen special on Sunday in lovely Western New York.
Oh yeah. And speaking of high scores, even though his team lost to the Rams last week, Michael Wilson got him 38.2 fantasy points.
It's
Kenneth Gainwell got him 16.2 and 11.4 from Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean,
And
look at this from Michael Wilson. Each of the last 4 weeks, 18 targets, 15 targets, 16 targets, and
wow.
three games, 3 of the last 4 games of 100 plus receiving yards, and he scored his first 2 touchdowns since week 2, in the victory. So I mean, Michael Wilson could wind up being a league winner in some leagues. So, but unfortunately, not won't be the case for Adam as he is not in the playoffs.
And his bench players here, Aaron Rodgers, 21.46, Rashid Shaheed with 16.7, and Cedric Gray with 12. On the other side,
Yeah,
Dino.
yeah, and that was one of Rogers' best games of the season. And also Adam got 25 points from Brandon Aubrey, including 3 field goals of 50 plus. In the loss.
Yeah, I think it was the first player in history to kick 53 field goals of 50 yards or more in one game. I mean that guy is amazing. Uh, looking at uh looking at Dino's players, his highest scorer came from Harold Fannin Jr. with 25.4. Got 18 from Bobby Wagner, 16 from AJ Brown, 16.1 from Bucky Irving. Josh Jacobs got him 17.2, and Jalen Hurts with a pathetic 2.4.
Yeah, and also Harold Fannin Jr. I mean, now that Shador Sanders is the quarterback, he could be a secret weapon for owners down the stretch. So, so he had a big game against Tennessee, then I believe he had a good game against the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken. I This is actually his best game as a pro. So with his 100 plus yards receiving.
That's right. And looking at Dino's bench players, ooh, 27.2 points from T. Higgins, 15.2 from Jalen Warren. So,
Yeah.
and 12-9 from Colston Loveland, who is starting to be one of the best young tight ends right there in the league with the Bears.
Yeah, and I think there was a question mark with T. Higgins going into the game on Sunday because he was in the concussion protocol, but he turned into strong performance before he had to go back into the concussion protocol. So um it says yeah, his injury status is going to have to be monitored throughout the course of the week.
Yeah. And so Adam 5-9, Dido at 9-5. And I guess now we're going to take a look at my matchup against David. Uh, David had 4 players on the bye week, which is basically why he got totally smothered by yours truly.
Not that it matters though, other than for
Right,
shooting purposes.
right, of course. I did get 19.44 points from Dak Prescott, got 11.2 from DeAndre Swift, got 18.1 from CD, 10.8 from Jake Ferguson, 17.3 from Jamison Williams, 10 points from Blake Cashman, and 15 from Jason Myers, the Seahawks kicker. And on the bench, uh, Zay Flowers got 20.6, which is more than was expected. 16-16 from Jared Goff. And not really sure. I had 3 guys on the basketball pants jam. I'd kind of been disappointed in Zay Flowers for the last couple of weeks, but looked like he had a better one in the 27-22 loss to the Steelers. But I digress. And looking at David had a 23.36 left on the table by Joe Burrow and 17.5 from Devon Achan, 10-2 from Jamar Chase, 14-1 from Dalton Kincaid, and 24-9 from Christian Watson. Oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, both of you guys were eliminated from the start. So
Right.
we now present your final regular season standings before we go on to our matchups here. So I finished 11-3. Lucas is 10-4 and and the 3 seed because Andrew won his division. I think we need to go to one conference instead of divisions after the season. But Natalia disagrees. Dino finished in 4th place. So will be the 4 seed. The Putnam will be the 5, and Casey will be seed number 6.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at the final points for like the strength of our teams, I finished first with the most points, 1985.42. Then Lucas, Alex, Adam, Dino, Tim, Andrew, Casey, Natalie. Natalie was closer to last place than he was 8th place in terms of points for. Yeah, he had a dreadful season.
Yeah, look at some moves here. Looking at the different roster moves made here, Dino had 80, and I came in second place with the boost with only 26. So Dino was really working it this year.
Yeah, he's claiming players left and right off the waiver wire. So,
Yep, that's
as,
what you
as,
do.
so now we come into round one of something in fantasy we like to call.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
All right,
Somehow I knew you were going to put that in there.
we always do it in playoffs round one. So,
Of course.
so which matchup do you want to look at first? Dino and Putnam or Lucas and Casey?
We'll just start at the top. We'll go with Alex and Dino here. Take a look at their first round matchup. Looks like a very close projection already.
Yeah.
It's only 6/10 of a point separating them right there.
Yeah, yeah. This is going to be a tight contest. Yeah, so we'll definitely have to look out him for the matchup between Dino and Putnam.
I definitely want to keep my eyes on that. Dino got the quarterback advantage with the RB2, his wide receivers, his defensive player, and his kicker. Meanwhile, Alex has running back one advantage with his tight end, his flex, and his defense special team. So, yeah, this could definitely be interesting unless they decide to change things up a little bit. Looking at some of their bench players here, yeah, it's well, like somebody might want to make a move or two, gain someone from the bench, or maybe something like that. But this is definitely going to be the biggest matchup right here. They faced each other back in week 6 of our regular season, and Dino won that one, 147-52 to 142-88. So Alex kind of looking for a little bit of payback there. And so now let's talk about Casey's matchup against Lucas. Right now, Lucas has the advantage with the projected totals 138-7 to 111-8. And check marks are on Lucas's side with his running backs, his wide receiver one, his flex, defensive player, defensive special teams, and kicker. Uh, all right. Casey's going to have to find himself a defensive player here. And let me see what seeing their bench players here. Um, I'll take a look at his receivers. Justin Jefferson could have a good day against the Cowboys. JSN. I say JSN has a big day against Indianapolis. We can
I
only
mean,
start two.
yeah, and he's also going to have to put Amon St. Brown in. No, who is only the fourth best receiver in fantasy football?
And they got a very, very interesting match against the Rams, which we'll get to a little bit later. In
Is
fact,
that?
I think
Mhm.
that's going to be box office right there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's going to be a fantasy fest in that one. So I think. So you're looking at some big games from some fantasy stars. I mean, you have a lot of star fantasy stars in this one with Gibbs and Ahmad and then the Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. So you have your choice of what you want for that one.
Yeah, that is going to be something else here. So that's how their matchup looks. Let's uh, let's go to my matchup here, going up against David here. Not that it really means anything. Uh,
I
I
mean,
took
really, nothing really means anything until next week in the consolation bracket.
right.
So
So right now, in our previous matchups during the regular season, I swept him. But right now, I hold the 129-3 to 112-1 advantage. Uh, they say that CD Lamb is questionable against the Vikings on Sunday night. Let's see who I got on my bench here. Is there someone here that I might want to plug in? Could be, could be. I would think. If I was David, I would take out Jordan Mason and replace him with Devon Achane. He's got a pretty favorable matchup against the Steelers this week. So
I mean, it's if he remembers to
right,
check, but and then we got a tight one between Adam and Natalie. So we'll see how that goes, but.
Yeah, the Tally won both matchups against Adam in the regular season. So, see what happens here. Xavier Worthy. So our first round of playoffs start this week. So it's gonna be very interesting. Speaking of interesting, we got some very hot topics that I want to talk about this week. First of all, the those choking chickens. I mean, I couldn't believe last night. Of course, I had to go to bed because I had to go. So I didn't see the overtime portion against the Chargers, but I did see the highlight reel this morning before I went to work. Oh my goodness, Jalen Hurts. Yeah, he hurts, and I'm sure the whole team does. I mean, oh my gosh, how many turnovers? 5 turnovers total in that
Yep,
game.
yep. 5 turnovers, all by Jalen Hurts. 4 interceptions, and one of the interceptions. So he recovered a fumble on the Chargers by the Chargers on that play, and then he lost it himself. So on a singular play, he lost himself 4 fantasy points.
4 fantasy points in one play. So
I honestly thought that was the worst performance of Jalen Hurts' career as the full-time starter.
I would have to agree. That is totally un Jalen Hurts. I mean, I'm telling you. I mean, he's got the talent. I mean, we've seen it
Uh,
before.
Yeah, I think the thing about this is that Kevin Patullo is an embattled offensive coordinator, and he is probably not going to be the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles next year. But yeah, he's been atrocious, and just to think if Jalen Hurts did not win the Super Bowl last year, he did not win the Super Bowl MVP, did not have those A-plus performances at the NFC Championship game against the Commanders and the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. If he did not have those, and this is the season that he comes up with, he would be run out of Philly. The likes of any Philly sports athlete in years.
Yeah, they might be pelting snowballs at him while he's running off the field.
We might see Santa Claus impersonators if the Eagles don't beat the pathetic, atrocious Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of that, I do have a little comment to make, but that will come a little bit later. But the Eagles, I mean, right now they are still first place in the NFC East, and got the Cowboys in second place right now.
Yeah,
Cowboys still
that
have a chance, but well, I'll talk about that when we get to it.
the Eagles have to be so lucky they have not played Washington yet this season because Washington is a mess. Just think because after a week after the Minnesota Vikings got shut out 26-0 by the Seahawks, they do the shutting out themselves. So shutting out the Commanders 31-0, which in JJ McCarthy's return. And that was just ugly. And I told you the Minnesota was going to bounce back and win, Timmy.
Yeah, you did. So,
It's
so
and
Eagles
I
still
mean
have.
yeah, and it didn't help. Jaden Daniels got hurt. They had three turnovers on offense. The Commanders did, and it was just an ugly performance. The game really pretty much was over at halftime in that one.
Yeah, it pretty much was. And that game, like I said, the game last night was just unbelievable. And that interception to seal the deal in overtime for the Chargers. But we'll have to say something about that. Now, I want to go to speaking of quarterback situations, the situation over in Indianapolis is pretty serious because you had Justin Herbert. Uh, he basically had one hand working, his throwing hand, and obviously that was enough.
Yeah, I mean that stiff arm he did in the, I believe it was in the fourth quarter with his broken left hand. I thought that was as impressive a play as I saw all night.
Yeah, I almost thought he was going to hurt it a little bit more, but now that he got his hand situation, and then he got uh going forward. Tell you what, let me see here. I'm going to take a look at the remaining schedule for the Chargers here. They got Kansas City. I know they got Kansas City this
Yeah.
coming Sunday.
Yeah, I think they have I think they have another game with Denver. I think I know that.
Yeah,
And
they're at Kansas City this week. The next week they're at Dallas. Then they're home against the Texans, and then they go to Denver to finish the season.
yep, it's not going to be an easy schedule because I mean with the Cowboys with how well they've done this season. And then you look at the Texans and what they've done, especially over the last 3 weeks, beating the Bills, the Colts, and the Chiefs in succession. The last two on the road. So and the Texans and I think the Texans defense might be the best individual unit of any that any team has in the NFL. They've been playing at such a high level.
They were big, and and that Denver defense ain't too bad either. So that could be a problem for the Chargers right there.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see what happens. And speaking of quarterbacks, over in Indianapolis, I can't believe they did this. They have called a future Hall of Famer out of retirement. Was he 44, 45?
Yeah, let's set the
Philip
scene first.
Rivers. Yes, go ahead.
I mean, so Daniel Jones, he suffered a torn Achilles in the Colts' 36-19 loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and ending his season. This comes on the heels of him playing with a broken bone in his lower leg and a hamstring issue as well. But he played through it, and then it was a non-contact injury, which wound up ending the season. And for starters, so the Colts season began with Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson competing for the quarterback role, which everyone thought was like such a hopeless situation because neither one looked like a starting quarterback to me. But the Colts started 7-1. They into the bye with 8-2 after barely beating Atlanta in the Germany game, and then they blew a 20-9 lead to Kansas City and lost that one in week 12. Then they lost at home to the Houston Texans last week, and then this past week, he suffers a season-ending injury in the loss to Jacksonville. And then Riley Leonard, who was, if you remember, was Notre Dame's quarterback last year when they made it to the CFP national championship game. He is questionable. So it looks like Brett Rippon is in charge with Riley Leonard. It's a PCL sprain on his right knee. So Brett Rippon is in line to make his first NFL start on Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks. And then for backup, the Colts the Colts signed 44-year-old Phil Rivers to the practice squad, and he was on track to maybe potentially be the Hall of Famer someday. But now after his high school football team season is over, he is called into action by the Indianapolis Colts, a desperate franchise. And looking at the Colts schedule, they got Seattle, they got San Francisco, then they have one more game each against the Jaguars and the Texans. So,
That's
it's without maybe their starting three quarterbacks. So they have to go to 4th or 5th string quarterback, and they have to face that gauntlet of a schedule. So I don't think the Colts will win another game the rest of the year.
I don't think I can see that happening either. I mean, it looks like right now the Jags are probably in the driver's seat there with Houston not too far behind.
Yeah, I mean the Colts are 13.5-point underdogs this week against Seattle. They and yeah, I don't I and with the way Seattle's been playing, that it's just been bad.
Yep. And now I want to talk about well, ladies and gentlemen, this will be unbelievable, but for the first time in 10 years, there will be a different AFC Western Division champion because it looks like the Mahomes Empire has fallen. But the question is, have they are they about to start to fall out of playoff contention now? I mean, this story is absolutely crazy. I mean, 9 straight years the Chiefs have dominated the AFC West, and now they have just fallen on hard times. And Patrick Mahomes had probably the worst game of his career this past week against Buffalo. Oh, wait a minute. It was
It was against Houston.
Oh yeah, Houston. I was looking at the wrong thing. So that Texans defense really got to him. He only passed for 160 yards. He rushed for 59, and I think he threw 3 picks in that game. First time in his career, he's had 3 interceptions and not a single touchdown pass.
Yeah, and it's his third game this year where he's thrown at least 1 interception and 0 touchdown passes, and so it was only the second time all year he's thrown for under 2. His lowest passing yard output of the season, 160 yards passing, only the second sub 200 yard passing yard game of the season. Now the other one came in week 2 where they lost 20-17 to Philadelphia. Yeah, he flat out stunk on Sunday night.
Yeah. So, and now looking at the rest of the Chiefs' schedule, they got the Chargers this week. Then they're on the road against Tennessee, which should not be a problem. Then they'll be home against Denver, which will be a very good game. It'll be the Denver defense. Then they finish the season on the road in Las Vegas against the Raiders. So looking at that, I could probably see them. I could see them maybe beating the Chargers and the Titans. They may lose to Denver. They may win at Las Vegas. So I'd probably just go 3. I'd say 3-1 this last stretch.
I mean, I could see them going 2-2, honestly. To be honest, because the Chargers defensive line is going to have some matchups against the Chiefs offensive line on Sunday, which might not bode well for someone like Isaiah Pacheco if you're trying to figure out your fantasy situation.
Right.
I mean, and the Chargers just intercepted Jalen Hurts 4 times on Monday night, so it could be a little tricky for the Chargers because they had to play a lot of snaps. They played overtime, and it's a short week, and they have to go on the road to take on the Chiefs at Arrowhead. So it is going to be a tough matchup for both, but we're going to see if the Chiefs really are. But then if you look at the AFC wildcard picture, you look at instead look at the Chiefs as now they're a couple of games out of a playoff spot.
Yep, yep. I'm taking a look at the standings right now. FC West, yeah, Kansas City right now is at 6-7, and they've lost two in a row. So yeah, there's a possibility the Chiefs not only don't win the division, but they won't even make it to the first round of the playoffs. So
Yeah, and they have the tie. The Texans beat them head to head, so the Texans right now hold the last wild card spot in the AFC. And according to PlayoffStatus.com, the Kansas City Chiefs have a 95% chance to miss the playoffs. So safe to say their season is over.
yeah, yeah, there's a little bit of a chance. So it looks like the Mahomes Empire is falling. And
Yeah,
let's see what I can't remember who else I wanted to talk about. Was there anyone else you want to talk about?
I mean, we're going to talk about the Cowboys and their chances to maybe win the division.
Oh yes, yes, yes. The Cowboys do still have a chance to win the NFC East, but two things have to happen. First, the Cowboys will obviously have to win out, and then and like I said, the Cowboys have the Vikings this Sunday night. Then they're at home against the Chargers the following week. Christmas Day at noon, they're in Washington against the Commanders. And then week 18, it'll be against your New York Giants.
Yeah, and I think for the Cowboys, the only way they can really make the playoffs is if they win the division. Because right now, the Chicago Bears are the 7th seed, and yeah, the Bears went from the 1 to the 7 in the NFC playoff picture with their loss to Green Bay on Sunday, and the Cowboys. Yeah, you mentioned their schedule, but then you have to wonder about the Eagles' schedule, like. So, if the Eagles somehow trip up against the Raiders, I mean, I can't see that happening. Though I think it's going to
No.
be I mean, but remember, a couple of years ago, the Eagles lost that game at home to Arizona, and which opened the door for the Cowboys to win the NFC East the following week. I mean, the Eagles have Washington twice, 16 and 18. They have Vegas week 15, and then they got the Bills week 17. And I think the Bills are going to destroy and boat race the Eagles out of Western New York. So yeah, I think the Eagles are. I feel like that could be a game that could determine who wins that division when it's all said and done, with the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Yeah, I've got a very bad feeling that even if the Cowboys do win out, the Eagles would have to lose two of their next four games. But unfortunately, I hate to say this, but I don't really see that happening. I mean, I see them losing to the Bills, but that's it. They'll take
Yeah.
care of the Raiders and they will sweep the Commanders. So, yeah, I think you might want to go ahead and get Stephen A. Smith to set up all the funeral arrangements.
I mean, Stephen A's been pretty quiet on the Cowboys this year. I think some of it because of maybe part of it might be that he has ambitions to maybe run for president in 2028, but it's yeah, but I think but since the Cowboys don't have like those high expectations that they can't knock them down.
Right. Say that. Hey, we got our buddy Daniel Barry. It's been a while, Daniel. Hope you're doing okay. Happy Tuesday to you, buddy. So,
Yeah, I mean on the other side of the Bears, which we talked about, the Bears go all the way to the 7th seed, but that was a terrific win for the Packers on Sunday. I caught some of that game, and man, that run by Josh Jacobs in the fourth quarter to set up that winning touchdown, man, was that a thing of beauty. He broke a couple of tackles, and then and then he used his power and speed to get inside the 10-yard line, and then they think a play or two later he scored what would be the game-winning touchdown. So,
Yeah, so right now with that loss, the Bears are the 7th seed, and now the Rams are sitting on top of the NFC right now.
yeah, I mean, and the seeding order. The seeding order is the Rams, Packers, Eagles, and currently the Bucks. So whoever the tiebreaker over the Panthers right now in the NFC South. But then you have Seattle in the 5 spot. The Rams and the Seahawks play each other next week on Thursday night. So a week from this upcoming Thursday, which would be an incredible game. And then San Francisco 9-4, the Chicago Bears 9-4. And then the Lions, who really, really needed that win against the Cowboys, are 8-5 and still have themselves a 31% chance to make the playoffs, being in the NFC.
Yeah. Meanwhile, over in the AFC right now, the seeds are Denver at number 1. Then you got New England at number 2, Jacksonville at number 3. Then you got Pittsburgh at 4. And they would take on the 5th seed, which would be Los Angeles if the playoffs were to begin this week. Buffalo holds the 6th seed, and then the 7th seed would go to the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
So
and the Texans, with their win, they now have an 89% chance to make the playoffs, to go into playoff status. The Bills are at 96. The Chargers are at 77. So it's really about the Steelers and the Ravens. The Steelers right now, with their win, that they beat Baltimore 27-22. They have an 85% chance to win their division, while the Ravens are under 15% and 2% chance from Cincinnati. But I think Cincinnati losing to Buffalo on Sunday put the Bengals playoff hopes to rest.
yeah, pretty much. So
yeah, and then we're gonna want to see how the battle for the 1 seed goes in the AFC, because you got Denver and New England at 11-2. Each of them are 2 games ahead of the rest of the competition in the AFC. So who do you think is gonna get the 1 seed in the AFC? The Broncos or the Patriots? So, and looking at the Broncos schedule, they have Green Bay at home, Jacksonville at home, the Chiefs on the road, and the Chargers at home, while the Patriots are home against the Bills, not easy, at Baltimore, at the Jets, and home against the Dolphins. And currently the Broncos would have the tiebreaker in the AFC because of the record in the conference. The Broncos are 7-2 in conference play, while the Patriots are 6-2 in conference play.
Ooh, so I'm thinking it might be Denver taking the top seed before this is all over.
And the Broncos and the Patriots do not see each other during the regular season, so if they do meet, it will be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And what a very interesting matchup that would be.
Yeah, and potentially in the AFC Championship game if things work out that way.
Right. So very interesting things going on as we go into the last 4 weeks of the NFL season.
Yeah.
So what we got now? What do you want to do now?
So you want to do trivia? Yeah,
we'll go ahead and do trivia. Now, I did explain to these guys earlier today. I did have a couple of questions, but I thought they would each be a little too easy. I thought it'd be a lot easy for Flynn. So Flynn's got a question here. So go ahead.
All right, so there was a Reddit post that was posted earlier today. That since we're now in fantasy playoffs, of the 100 greatest fantasy performances in playoff history, in the period where fantasy playoffs occurs, which is the fourth, third, and second last to last weeks of the regular season, which usually is the case. So my question is, so I'll give you a couple of hints on this. About this game. So this was a running back for the Denver Broncos. Well, which player has scored the most points in a fantasy playoffs matchup since 1970?
Since the merger, which running back has scored the most fantasy points?
In a single game in the fantasy playoffs period. So, and I'll give you a hint. It was with the Denver Broncos, and it was a running back.
The first name that comes to my mind is Terrell Davis.
Okay, so we'll into that later. So what is actually we'll answer these right now before we move on. So when it comes to the answer of Terrell Davis to Tim McClelland, you so the answer was not Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis actually was Terrell Davis actually does not appear on this list, believe it or not. Number one, the greatest single game performance in fantasy playoff history came in Week 14 in 2003. It was Clinton Portis of the Denver Broncos in 2003.
Clinton Portis, I forgot about him.
Yeah, it was a game where he had 218 yards rushing, 5 rushing touchdowns, two receptions for 36 yards. That was in a game against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Against the Chiefs. Man, that's some pretty serious numbers right there.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess since I brought it up, I guess I'll go ahead and ask the question anyway. I know this is going to be easy for you, so I'll just go ahead and humor you if you don't mind.
Uh-huh.
All right. So here's the question. This past week, John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin met up for the 40th time. 40 times that Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh has met up against each other. That is the second most appearances by two head coaches in NFL games. So the obvious question is, which two coaches have met each other most times in NFL history?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I mean, I might have a couple of ideas on that. So, all right, so you have another one?
Oh yeah, yeah. The other one I have. As you know, it was on Monday Night Football 45 years ago last night that the announcement was made that the great John Lennon had died after being shot outside of his apartment. The question was, which two teams played that game?
Yeah, I got that one. So, all right. So I'm going to go full screen now, and I will give you my fantasy starts and sits for week 15 in the NFL. I have a lot of them because it is round 1 of the postseason. So I have waiver wire suggestions. I have start sits all over the place. So let's get started. So guys, you should be picking up on your waiver wires. I'm looking. I am looking at Harold Fannin Jr. of the Cleveland Browns as someone you should be picking up on your waiver wire. So Harold Fannin Jr. coming off his best performance as a pro in week 14 against Tennessee, where he had 114 yards and a touchdown. He might prove to be Shedeur Sanders' go-to target, and and they have a favorable matchup this weekend against Chicago. So I could definitely see you picking him up on the waiver wire, potentially being someone that you might get some success with. In terms of a sit for the week at tight end, I'm going with Isaiah Likely of the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, he does have the Cincinnati Bengals, who have been giving up a lot of points to tight ends, but Mark Andrews has been getting the bulk of the targets at tight end this in recent weeks, and plus Mark Andrews just signed that contract extension. So Isaiah Likely over his last he does have six targets in each of his last two games each, but I just think he's gonna. I think the targets are gonna go to Mark Andrews in this one. I think he's going to cash in. My sit of the week is from tight end is Isaiah Likely, and my start of the week is going to be Brenton Strange of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now Brenton Strange is coming off 2 of the last 3 weeks where he scored where he scored about a dozen points in half PPR scoring. If you go to the full PPR scoring, that he's put up more than that on those fronts. So I like his matchup against the Jets coming up on Sunday. In terms of wide receivers, I would consider I would consider someone that I believe that I would consider picking up in your fantasy leagues, someone like a 80 I wouldn't say 80 Mitchell, but I would definitely consider picking up Darius Slayton for the New York Giants. The Giants have a good matchup against Washington. Washington's defense is atrocious. They've been terrible against wide receivers all year, so I would consider picking him up on the waiver wire. My sit of the week in fantasy, I gotta go with Deebo Samuel in that Giants Washington game. So I think the expectation is that Terry McLaurin is going to be starting for the Commanders on Sunday. So I think he's going to get the more of the targets there. And then my must start of the week, I'm going to go with Teledor McMillan of the Carolina Panthers going up against the New Orleans Saints. I think it's a good matchup for him. I think Bryce Young should be able to air it out down the field in this one. So and plus Carolina's coming off the bye week. So it's gonna be a fun one in New Orleans between the Panthers and the Saints. In terms of running backs, I would consider if you don't have them already, I would consider picking up Blake Corum. Because the question with the Rams running back situation is, when are we going to see Blake Corum be more incorporated into the offense? Well, the last 2 weeks, we had examples of that, because he had matchups against Arizona and Carolina. He's averaged 20 points a game, fantasy points PPR game over the last 2 weeks, including 128 yards and 2 touchdowns just a couple of days ago, and an RB3 finish against the Arizona Cardinals. And in terms of running backs, my sit of the week is going to be Amari and Hampton. Yeah, Hampton came back and gave owners about 16 points in PPR settings, but I just think he has a tough matchup against Kansas City, because Kansas City's been good in fantasy against running backs this season. So I don't like that matchup there. But then my start of the week is going to be Travion Henderson of the New England Patriots going up against the Buffalo Bills. It is a huge game. I think the Patriots are coming off their bye week. They're going to be ready to go for that one. And I think Travion Henderson with the season he's having, I think he's ready to go off against the Buffalo Bills. And finally, in terms of quarterbacks, I would consider picking up JJ McCarthy in fantasy this week, because McCarthy's got a favorable matchup against the Dallas Cowboys defense, which just got shredded by the Lions. And if Dak Prescott's gonna put up 30 points, and the Cowboys offense is gonna put up 30 points, I think JJ McCarthy is gonna throw the ball a lot, and I think he's gonna have a lot of yardage in him. So I would consider picking up J.J. McCarthy. I would sit both Jordan Love and Bo Nix in their matchups against each other. Both teams have really good defenses. This could be a defensive slugfest between the two teams. I think it's gonna be a great game, but as good as both Jordan Love has been, and he's been playing at a high level. He's making some ridiculous throws. Nice having Christian Watson back, but it is a tough matchup for both of them going up against each other. And then my fantasy start of the week is going to be Jackson Dart of the New York Giants. Jackson Dart's got the Commanders. I think the Commanders' defense has been dreadful against quarterbacks this year, and I think I think Dart is going to try and get some momentum into next season. So I think in terms of that, I will start from the New York Giants, Jackson Dart.
And all right, that sounds pretty good here. Sounds pretty good indeed, my friend.
Yep.
Well, I've got a little list myself here that I want
Oh,
to give
okay.
out to you. So,
All right. Let's do it.
there's a couple of these a couple of these names I actually agree with you here. This I got here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start with my quarterback star of the week. It would be Jackson Dart. Yeah, the Washington defense has allowed the third most passing touchdowns to quarterbacks this year. They've allowed 26. So I expect to see Jackson Dart throwing at least a couple of more there. I mean, hey, Washington just gave up a 3 touchdown game for JJ McCarthy. So Washington's defense not very good. So I would start Jackson Dart here. As far as my quarterback sit, I would sit Jacoby Brissett of the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, see what Houston did to Kansas City, right? They held Mahomes to 160 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but 0 touchdowns. Now, Brissett has had an average of about 258 yards and 2 touchdowns in 7 of his last 8 starts, but I would not start Jacoby Brissett against those Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs are pretty tough. So, yeah, if they were held down by the Houston Texans, oh, yeah, they're probably going to hold down those Cardinals. As far as my running back start for this week, Chris Rodriguez Jr. Speaking of the Commanders, they're going up against the Giants. The Giants have allowed 1,629 rushing yards, which is second most in the league, and the Giants have allowed 16 rushing touchdowns. So I would not. I would go ahead and start Rodriguez against those Giants here. As far as my running back sit, I agree with you, Flynn. Omarion Hampton from the Chargers. Uh, Back in week 1 against in their first matchup with the Chiefs, he had 15 carries, but for only 48 yards. And you mentioned Kansas City not allowing many yards against running backs. Look this up, and it says that Kansas City allowed less than 100 yards rushing in 6 of their last 8 games. So, yeah, the defensive line for the Chiefs is pretty tough. So I would not recommend starting Omari Hampton this week. My wide receiver now for my start at wide receiver, I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. The Cowboys have allowed a league high 22 touchdowns to wide receivers. So, yeah, I can expect JJ McCarthy to throw a couple to him, and maybe one to Jordan Addison here. So I'd expect a big breakout game, Justin Jefferson, because that Cowboys defense, especially the corners and the safeties, they've always been a problem for the Cowboys, especially with the injuries that they have. So I'll go ahead and start Justin Jefferson. As far as my sit for this week, I would sit Michael Pittman Jr. from the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are having quarterback problems anyway, and besides, they're going up against the Seattle team, which has allowed the fewest yards to wide receivers this year, with a total of 1,411. So, yeah, the Seattle defense is just as tough. So, I would not recommend starting Michael Pittman Jr. this week. Now, for my tight end, I was going to say I'd start both tight ends for the Baltimore Ravens, but since Mark Andrews is getting more targets than Isaiah Likely, yeah, go ahead and plug Andrews in there because the Bengals they have allowed they allow an average of 24.11 fantasy points per game against tight ends, which is the most in the league. So I would start Mark Andrews. I can see him getting at least two from Lamar Jackson this week. And finally, my tight end sit for this week, Dallas Goddard of the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going up against a Vegas team that has surrendered just 126 receiving yards and 7 receptions versus tight ends so far this year. And they've averaged less than 7.4 fantasy points given up against the tight ends. So now Dallas Goddard, he did average about 10 or 11 fantasy points per game, but before this past Monday night, he was averaging about less than 5 points a game. So I would go ahead and sit Dallas Goddard, and that's basically my list for my starts and sits. Little something to consider, y'all. So with that being said, we will go ahead and get into our picks here. Oh,
Yep.
before we do, we have a question here from let's get it 49706. Okay, he's what's up, man? He's got a half PPR for flex. Got Marks or
So it's,
Handy.
it's it. So he's looking at Woody Marks from the Houston Texans and or Travion Henderson from the Patriots. So my start of the week was Travion Henderson. So yeah, I have him ranked ahead of Woody Marks. And then the Bears or the Broncos D. So I think it's a tough one because both the Bears and the Broncos play on teams that I feel are not as good as the records indicate. But I would start the Bears defense over the Broncos.
Yeah, I'd probably do that too. So there you go, buddy. Thanks for your question. Thanks for joining us. Spread the word about this show. So get our viewership up a little bit here. Thanks a lot, Ian. So now we go into week 15 of our NFL picks this week. Of course, as we said, no more bye weeks. Everyone's in action, and everyone is in action beginning. Oh my gosh, my throat is getting dry again. Once again, we're going to start this week with a Thursday night matchup. The Atlanta Falcons going to Tampa Bay, facing the Bucks, and the Bucks are 4.5 point favorites in this one. And look, I mean, I feel I feel so bad for Bijan Robinson. He is like the only bright spot that the Atlanta Falcons have. I mean, he averages about 90 to 100 yards a game, but everyone around him is just garbage. I mean, it seems like Michael Penix Jr. is just not quite cutting it. Bringing back Kirk Cousins, he's over the hill. He's ready for a rocking chair. So I'm going to put it to you this way: I say Tampa Bay. They've been having some injury problems, especially in the wide receiver position. In fact, I think they said they brought Mike Evans in the 21 day practice period after recovering from his injury. So hopefully they'll get him back soon. But I'm going to go ahead. I am taking the Bucks at home. They will win. They will cover. I'm going to call it 27 to 27-21. Give me the Bucks over the Falcons.
Yeah, I think this is a way. I mean, obviously, I will lock in my official pick on the Hooked on Sports podcast for Week 15 on Thursday. So I want to see what the injury status is going to be of Drake London and Kyle Pitts. But it's a division game, and neither team has played relatively inspiring football during the second half of the season. I mean, more especially so the Falcons, because the Falcons are 4-9, and they do not have their first round pick because it actually belongs to the Rams, which is crazy and all that stuff. So I think with that accord, I'm going to pick the Bucks to win. But I think 4.5. I feel like it's going to be a game that's going to come down to a winning field goal. So I'm going to grab the points with Atlanta and take the Falcons with the points. But I got the Bucks winning, but right now by a score of 23-20.
All right, 23-20. So we're going with the Bucks. And where's my phone here? I had the tallies picked. I had the tallies pick saved here in my little notes section here, and he is actually going to take the Bucks over the Falcons. Uh, 24-21. So he's got the Bucks winning, but he actually has the Falcons covering. So that'll be interesting right there. Next game, we have the Cleveland Browns at the Chicago Bears over at Soldier Field on Sunday, 1 Eastern. And the Bears are 7.5 point favorites. And let's see here. Wasn't it last week that the Browns actually beat the Titans?
Yeah, the Titans lost to the Titans beat the Browns on Sunday.
The Titans beat the Browns. I mean the worst team in the league beat the Browns. So if that could happen, I mean anything can happen here.
I think I was the one that called the upset last week.
Yeah, I believe you were. And so this is basically a no-brainer here. I mean, I love what Caleb Williams is doing. He's grown this year, and I just don't think Shador Sanders. Of course, they just said that Shador Sanders will be the starting quarterback for the rest of the season for the Browns, but I just don't think it's going to matter. I'm going to take the Bears in a very convincing win. Give me the Bears over the Browns by a score of 30-14. Bears.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the media hype that's going around Shador Sanders because Shador Sanders has had 2 games with good statistics. They were against the Raiders and the Titans, arguably the 2 worst defenses in the AFC, and the 2 worst, and maybe the 2 worst teams in football. When you really think about everything here, and most of Shador Sanders' passing yards have come after the catch. So it's not like Shador Sanders has been playing great. He's made some bad throws. The problem was the Titans' defense was bad, and they almost gave up 30 points to Shador Sanders. So I'm going to with that in mind, the Bears coming off a loss. They need to win to make sure they stay in that 7th spot of the NFC. So I've got this as a double up score. Give me the Bears to double up the Browns 26-13.
Alrighty then. The tally says this game. Oh, he has this a little bit closer than what everyone says. He's going with the Bears over the Browns 23-20. Actually sees the Browns actually covering this one here.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go down to Cincinnati where the Bengals will be home against the Ravens. And the Ravens come into this game 2.5 point favorites. Let me hear your thoughts first.
So well, we actually have a question for you before we get into it.
Yes.
So alongside with Jacoby Myers, who's playing against the Jets, what other wide receivers should I start? Marvin Harrison Jr., Brian Thomas Jr., Flournoy of the Bears, Darius Slayton, John Mechie III, or Jerry Jeudy. So
I would
so,
say he met Ryan Flournoy from the Cowboys.
yeah, Brian Flournoy for the Cowboys. Yeah, this is actually a tough one. I mean, it's a pretty decent depth, not a lot of upside, outside of maybe Brian Thomas Jr. Aside who's going up against the Jets. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is still not playing. So we don't know when he's going to be if he's going to play again this year.
Right.
I mean, I mean, I mean, Darius Slayton. I don't know, if they're gonna be running the ball more often with Jackson Dart in there. So, I would consider Jerry Jeudy or Brian Thomas Jr.
Judy or Brown Thomas Jr. Yep. That kind of makes sense a little bit. Uh, Ryan Flournoy, he's gonna have a tough time against that defense in Minnesota. I mean, when Minnesota comes down to AT&T Stadium. So, thanks for your question, buddy. Always good to hear from you. Anyway, we were going to talk about the Ravens and the Bengals. Go ahead, Flynn.
So, yeah, I'm actually going to pick the Cincinnati Bengals to win the game outright. And Cincinnati has actually been playing more inspiring football than the Ravens over the last 3 or 4 weeks or so. The Ravens just lost at home to Pittsburgh, and Joe Burrow has actually played some pretty good football since his return, and he's only getting healthier. And the Ravens defense has been bad, and Lamar Jackson can't run 100%. So that means this Ravens team is dead on arrival. I'm going to pick the Bengals to win the game by a score of 31-24 over the Ravens.
All right. Yeah. When I was watching the highlights of Cincinnati's last game last week, the big shootout game against Buffalo, and I was watching part of that. I was watching Joe Burrow play, and I was like, injury? What injury? Because he played like he didn't suffer any injury at all. He was just balling it out right there. Now, of course, the Bills ended up winning that game. But what a game that was! I mean, he looks like he ain't got hurt in a bit here. Actually, I'm going to agree with you on this. I'm going to take the Bengals over the Ravens. My final score is going to be 27-23. And according to Natali, he is going to go ahead and take the Ravens over the Bengals 26-22. So Natali is the lone wolf on that one. Now we're going to go to Houston, where the Arizona Cardinals are going to be visiting the Texans. And the Texans are 9.5-point favorites. And as I said, I would not start Michael Pittman Jr. against the Texans. Texas defense is one of the best in the league, if not the best. And Arizona is going to be starting Jacoby Brissett, and while Kyler Murray is having to deal with an injury. Actually, I call bull on that because he's playing the new Call of Duty game, since he's a big fan of that. I'm taking the Texans over the Cardinals. Let's call this 28 to 16. 28-16. Give me the Texans over the Cardinals.
I think isn't it crazy to think that the quarterback that gives the Cardinals the best chance to win games and the wide receiver one that gives the team the team the best chance to win games are actually playing for the Cardinals on Sunday, and Jacoby Brissett and Michael Wilson. I mean, it's because that could be something here for the Cardinals. Michael Wilson's been terrific, as we chronicled, and Jacoby Brissett hasn't thrown out gaudy statistics in spite of the losing. So and I think that could give the Texans a challenge. But I think really what it comes down to is that the Cardinals aren't going to be as effective running the football, and that's going to be an issue there for the Cardinals. So remember, Houston's played some tough games. I felt that Houston Kansas City game was more about the Chiefs than it was the Houston Texans. While the Texans deserve the praise that they have, but I just think Houston coming off those tough games, having to come home and play the Cardinals. I think they're gonna get off to a slow start here, but I think the Texans will do just enough to win. So I'm gonna grab the 9.5 with the Arizona Cardinals, and I got the Houston Texans winning this game by a score of 21-16.
All right, then. And Natali says he's taking the Texans over the Cardinals by a score of 28-21. So that settles that. Next game is in Jacksonville. The Jaguars are going to be home against the New York Mother Loving Jets, and the Jags are 12.5-point favorites.
And the Jaguars are going to be facing Brady Cook. Brady freaking Cook.
Brady Cook
and
from
the New Texas.
Oh, Texas, huh?
No, I mean I thought you were gonna say that but he was an undrafted free agent from Mizzou.
Oh, Mizzou. So, this is going to be ugly. In fact, this is going to be crazy ugly. Flynn, give me the lock.
You see, you gotta lock the Jaguars over the Jets.
Give me the lock.
Hang on, give me just a second. Let me get the browser up.
Okay. There you go. There you go. My final score: Jacksonville 38, New York 10.
I'm gonna be a little generous and go 28-6 in this one because I think the Jaguars are gonna take their starters out after 3 quarters, but I think the thing is even if even if the passing game wasn't an option for the Jets because Brady Cook is the starter, that the Jaguars defense, run defense has been much better, and part of it is because of players coming back from injury. But yeah, Jacksonville's looked better on both sides of the football over the last few weeks. So I'm gonna take Jacksonville to coast to victory here. Not my lock, but I have them winning 28-6 over the Jets.
All right. And according to our friend Natali, he's going Jaguars over Jets 25-20. So he's got this one closer than what we would expect. Coming up next here, Kansas City Chiefs are at home against the Chargers. Face each other back in week 1 this week, earlier this year. And the Chiefs are actually picked about 4.5 in this one. Let's see here. Going up against the Chargers team, which is doing pretty darn good. Might not want to start Omari Hampton, but maybe a couple of those wideouts here. But I think there's a good chance here. Besides, the real reason here for my pick in here, the Chiefs' kingdom is fallen. They're pretty much out of the playoffs. They will not win the AFC West. There will be a new AFC West team. So after I just called the lock on this one on the Jags and the Jets. So Flynn, I'm calling for the alarm on this one. I am taking the Chargers to beat the Chiefs by a score of 31-28. It's going to be close, but the Chargers will take it at the end. And now go Chargers, go.
Yeah, and despite of me labeling Amari Hampton as my sit of the week, because remember the Chargers are coming it's his first game back from injury, so it was a game that the Eagles were missing Jalen Carter in that game, who was kind of the most important player on defense, and that's why he was able to go off the way he has so far. But I'm with you, Tim. I also have this as an upset special because this is going to be more about Kansas City being fried offensively with the injuries to the offensive line, not being able to run the football when it's usually the identity of an Andy Reid led offense. So yeah. Yeah, I've got the Chargers winning this one by a score of 19-14.
We got the double upset here. Let's see here.
Yep.
All right, let's see what Natalie says. Oh, wow. Natalie says he's got the Chiefs 27, Chargers 26. This is his points per rate game of the week.
Yeah.
So he actually has the Chiefs winning this one by only a single digit. Whew. All right, now we go to an AFC East battle with the Buffalo Bills going into the big Razor Blade, which is Gillette Stadium. Bills coming in at 1.5-point favorites against the Patriots. I've already got this one figured out. This is going to be a pretty good game, but when you think about it, I mean, look at the streak that New England has been on since Drake May has gotten into the groove. They've won so many games in a row. Buffalo is slipping. I mean, I think I heard something that the result of this game could decide who wins this division.
Yeah, that's right. If the Patriots will clinch the AFC East with a win over the Bills.
And that's exactly how I have it here. I'm taking the Patriots over the Bills by a score of 30-26.
Yeah, this is actually going to be our first disagreement of the night, Tim. I've got the Buffalo Bills winning this game, and I think they're going to win this game by 10 points because look, the Patriots are coming off a bye, and Drake May's been good, but the Bills are playing. The Bills have been playing their best football of the season over the last 2 weeks with the dominant performance against the Steelers and what they were able to do defensively against Cincinnati to win that game. So I think Josh Allen's going to throw for 3 touchdowns. I think he's going to throw for 300 yards. I think he's going to run for a touchdown. I think he's going to have a monster day. So with completing the forward pass, and I don't, and as good as the Patriots are, and as well coached as they are, I don't think they're as good a team as their record indicates. So I'm going to lay the points with the Bills. I got them winning by a score of 30-20 over the Patriots.
Okay, all right. And Natalia says he's got. Natalia agrees with me. Patriots over Bills 31-24. Alrighty then. Next, we have an NFC East battle with the Commanders going to MetLife against the Giants. Giants are home 2.5-point favorites. Yeah, I was mentioning that Washington had pretty bad defense, but so does the Giants. But this game is looked at this one. It's pretty much too close to call. So go with an old friend of mine's. His philosophy is if you really can't pick a winner, then just go with the home team. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and take the Take the Giants over the Commanders this one. Let's say 26 to 26. It's going to be a close game here. 26-23. I'll take the Giants over the Commanders.
Yeah, I'm with you, Tim. I'm going with the New York Football Giants as well to win and to cover. I mean, I think I think for this one, it looks like Marcus Mariota is going to be the starter for Washington, which isn't going to be too bad because the Giants' defense is dreadful. They have issues stopping the run. I just think Jackson Dart and his leg are going to be a terrible matchup for
Yeah.
for the Commanders linebackers, and the Commanders have the oldest and slowest defense in the NFL, which I never understood the hype surrounding Washington. I told Washington missing the playoffs was one of the easiest bets of the entire season. But I just think having to go from a Brian Flores defense to an Giants defense that was once coached by Shane Bowen, I think it's going to be a different feel for it. So it's going to be more competitive. So while it won't be my garbage game of the week because both teams have already been eliminated from playoff contention, we have to pick these games. I'm going to take the Giants win and cover. I have the winning by a score of 27-24.
Okay. And Natalia says he's got the Commanders over the Giants 22-20.
Uh-huh.
And he's got this one as his garbage game of the week, by the way.
Oh.
Interesting point there. Now we go to Philadelphia. The Eagles are going to be fighting mad. Probably not as mad as the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, but they're going to be mad nonetheless. Sorry, I had to bring that up then.
It's all right.
11.5-point favorites, the Eagles are, and they're taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. And this is a no-brainer here. When you got a team that's fighting mad like the Eagles, and you got a team like the Raiders are coming in, so this should be a bounce back game for the Eagles. I hate to say it because I hate the chickens. I loathe the chickens. I despise the chickens with every fiber of my being. But I have to say, pick the better team, and obviously Eagles are a way better team. Give me those chickens over those Raiders, 33-14.
Yeah, and I think those chickens are looking for a farm because those chickens are dealing with the mess right now. I mean, the Eagles are broken beyond repair. I mean, Kevin Patullo can't call his way out of a paper bag. Jalen Hurts looks shot. That Jalen Carter on the other side is out with this significant injury. So I just think this is going to be an ugly slop fest. I think the Raiders will do just enough to stay in it, but I think it's going to be an ugly game. I think the Eagles win this game by a score of 17-10, and that, Tim, is my garbage game of the week.
Interesting right there. And Natalie is picking the Eagles over the Raiders by a score of 30-20. So they'll give them a little dime advantage right there.
Yep. So now we have 4:25 p.m. games on both networks. So you will get 2 games on each network this weekend. So it's you're going to get a lot of good football.
Yeah, really good one here. Green Bay at Denver. And Green Bay comes in at 2.5-point favorites. And this is another game that I'm kind of having a little trouble with. I mean, both defenses are great. Offenses are above average. I'm not saying they're elite or they're great, but they're pretty good. Once again, Can't pick a winner. Go with home team. But Green Bay has been, like you said, Green Bay has been doing very, very well over the last few weeks or so. So I'm going to take Green Bay. Let's call it. Let's see, 27. Now we'll make it 28. 28. 28 to 23. 28-23. I'll take the Packers on the road against those Broncos.
Yeah, this was a tough one because both teams are really well coached, but I think and it's crazy to say in a game with with teams with such great records and Jordan Love being one of the quarterbacks, the Jordan Love is going to be the best quarterback on the field on Sunday, which I think is a crazy thing to say when you talk about him and Bo Nix and my preseason expectations of both these quarterbacks, but I've got the Packers winning this game on the road. I think the Packers are playing some really good, inspiring football, and the Broncos have failed to cover the spread as 6 points, at least 6 point, touchdown favorite in each of their last 6 games, each of the last 2 games. Excuse me. So I don't think the Broncos are as good as the record indicates. So I think both 11-2 teams in the AFC will lose at home this week. Give me the Packers to win 17-14 over the Broncos.
All right, and according to Natalie here, oh, he's got a close one here. Broncos over Packers 31-29.
As you're going with high scoring. I think it's going to be more of a defensive game, but a fun one for that one.
It'll be an interesting game. But in my opinion, what we're about to talk about now is going to be the game of the week. We got the Detroit Lions going into Los Angeles taking on the Rams, and the Rams are at 5.5-point favorites. Detroit put a real stomping on my boys. I mean, and George Pickens, everyone was kind of ragging him all the week, saying that didn't really play inspired football. He didn't seem interested or something. Hopefully, he got a pep talk for this week. But anyway, back to this game here. I could probably actually see the Rams. I mean, the Rams are quietly one of the best teams in the entire league, not just in the NFC, but in the entire league. They've been doing it quietly, real no fanfare, no flash, but just a whole lot of substance here. I will go ahead and take the Rams over the Lions, even though the Lions are going to keep it real close. But I'd say the Rams will win by a touchdown. So 35. No, it's 20. Yeah, 35-28. That's a touchdown. 35-28. Give me the Rams and give me one of my favorite wide receivers. What a wonderful phrase. Nacua Matata.
Yeah. I'm gonna grab the points with the Lions, and if I was told that Amon-Ra St. Brown was going to play last Thursday night before I made my pick, I would have picked the Lions to defeat the Dallas Cowboys. But even though Amon-Ra didn't score a touchdown, his impact was made all throughout that game. And I think the Lions, with their offense the way it is, they can go toe to toe with anybody. But I just think the Rams are the better team. I think that they have the quarterback advantage. Remember, this is another storyline with the Matthew Stafford Jared Goff swap a couple like 5 years ago. Crazy! It's been almost 5 years since the Rams and Lions traded Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the more consequential trades in recent NFL memory, but I'm gonna pick the Rams. I think this is gonna be a measure of who's gonna get the ball last. I think it's gonna be a 31-27 type of ball game. So give me the Rams to beat the Lions.
All right. And Natalia's going to make it unanimous. He says Rams over Lions 34-31. He sees a high scoring game in this one.
Yeah, we all see someone high
Okay.
scoring.
All right. Now we're going to go to Carolina Panthers at 2.5-point favorites going to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Hey Flynn, this is my garbage game of the week right here.
Really? You got this as garbage game? All right, give me a second.
Yeah. Yeah. The only bright spot I see here is Chris Olave. I think he's been doing a little bit better than in the recent year or so. He's getting things done with Carolina, and of course, it's just I just don't know what to do here. It's 2.5, but Carolina, but I think I'm actually going to go ahead and take the Saints at home. This is not going to be much of a uh, not much of a high scoring game here. Give me. I'm going to take the Saints over the Panthers by a score of 21-17.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm picking. I agree with you, Tim. I've got the New Orleans Saints winning this game. And listen, I think Tyler. And again, I was one that picked the Saints to upset Tampa Bay last week, and I know. I mean, I didn't say an upset, but made it close. But Tyler Shook has some things going. I don't know if he's gonna if how big the name he's gonna be down the road, but I think he could be something down the road when he gets more talent around him. But I think there's something with him that I think could be useful going forward here. So I'm going to pick the Saints to win the game by a score of 20-17.
Alrighty then. And Flynn, talking about this game here, he's got
the tally.
Natali. Yes, Natali here. Natali actually has the Saints over the Panthers by a score of 23-19. So he doesn't really have a big score here either. Let's go now to San Francisco. 12.5-point favorites at home against the Tennessee Titans, and this is pretty much another no-brainer. Yeah, Tennessee did beat Cleveland, but not by much last week. But like I said, all this year, the 49ers have found some ways to win games, even though almost every one of their starting players gets hurt, gets injured. They're out for a while, but the guys they plug in come in, and they do quite a wonderful job here. Yeah, give me this is what I think I'm going to call this my double up game. You had one earlier, so I've got this one here. I'm going to call it 49ers 28, Tennessee 14.
We actually have a similar score. I have a 28-10. I mean, Tennessee's 2 wins this year have come by a 1-point victory against the 3-10 Cardinals and a 2-point win against the 3-10 Cleveland Browns. So yeah, it tells you a lot about Tennessee's season, but I think the Titans have played a little bit better in recent weeks, so that's why that game will not be the lock of the week.
Right. And then we have Indianapolis Colts heading to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Seahawks 13.5-point favorites. Well, I mean, when you've got a great quarterback like Sam Darnold, and you've got the best, the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, JSN, and with the quarterback problems with Indianapolis, I'm going to have to give it to the Seahawks. This is almost a double up score, but I'm going to say 33. 33 to 13. That's how bad it's going to be. 33-13. JSN and Sam Darnold and those boys are just going to tear the living you know what out of them Colts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pick the. I mean, this is the best bet of the week. Seattle is going to torch Brett Rippon, the fourth string quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, the Colts right now are right now such a disgrace. Right now, I mean, how are the Colts going to get to 8 points? I'm going to give the Colts 8 points. Seattle wins 31-8, and that, Mr. Tim McClelland,
There you go.
that is my lock of the week.
All right, and let me put this on again. See what Natalie says about this one. Uh, he says, we're talking about Seattle and Indianapolis. Seahawks over the Colts 30-27, and he says this is his game of the week.
30-27. Hold on. Wait, is John Natale saying that Brett Rippon is going to score 27 points against the top 5 defense in the league?
Or is this the real reason why he didn't show up? He didn't want to. He didn't want to explain how the Colts are going to score 27 points against that defense.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna play this anyway, but even if he's not here, I'm gonna play this instead.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I would second the motion right there.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I did not give the tally score for the 49ers over 49ers over Titans 32-17, and that's his lock of the week right there. He's locking the Niners. And if I didn't mention the Rams and the Lions game, he's got the Rams over the last 34-31. That's this.
We already mentioned it.
Oh, we already mentioned that. Okay, so we got that in that. Okay, so he's got all that. So I guess now we're going to go to my game. My Cowboys coming off of that tough loss against the Lions. We're at home again. This time the Minnesota Vikings are going to be coming calling. And my Cowboys are 6.5-point favorites, but hopefully George Pickens can play a lot better than he did last week. I still haven't gotten any words about the prognosis from the concussion protocol that CD Lamb went through kind of halfway in that last week game. Defense is going to have to hold it up because Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, those are two great receivers. I'm picking the Cowboys in this one, but I'm actually taking the Vikings with the points here. That's how close it's going to be. It's going to be, I say, Cowboys 27, Vikings 24.
Yeah, this was the toughest game of the week for me to pick in terms of picking against the spread. Now, I think Dallas is going to win. I think it's a bounce back performance for the Cowboys defensively, but I think Minnesota is going to do just enough to stay in this game. It's because you remember Brian Flores' defense is something out there. So I think with the different defensive looks, I think it's going to be a close game. But in the end, I'm going to pick the Cowboys 24-20 over the Minnesota Vikings.
All righty, and Tally will go with Cowboys over Vikings 28-24. You got that here. And the last game on the schedule, the Monday night game. It's the Miami Dolphins against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are picked by 3.5. Before I say anything else, I think everybody should tune into the Paying a Game Pick'em show tomorrow.
Oh, he got a
I think it.
Putnam and Lucas. Yeah, wow.
Yep. Putnam's Dolphins against Lucas's Steelers. So
I mean,
it's going to be
I mean,
very interesting.
I mean, imagine if Lucas lost in our league last week. I mean, and Dino won. We would have had Putnam and Lucas in fantasy, and now we got Putnam and Lucas in that as well. So
These are their teams here. So actually, I want to hear your take first on this one.
okay, whatever you do, Tim, do not pick who I pick against the spread for this game, because I am 1-12 against the spread picking Steelers games this year, which is the most absurd thing that's happened. So I'm going to pick the Steelers to win, but I'm going to grab the points with the Miami Dolphins. Look, the Steelers have had issues all year stopping the run, and the Steelers had the benefit of Lamar Jackson not being 100% last week. So I think Devon Achane is going to run all over that defense. I think it's going to be a competitive game, but you have to deal with the Steelers basically never losing at home on Monday Night Football versus the Tua Tagovailoa, who never plays well in the cold weather. So something's got to give here. But I'm gonna pick the Steelers to win, but I'm gonna grab the points with the Dolphins. I'm gonna go 26-23. Give me the Steelers over the Dolphins.
All right. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with you here. Steelers at home are pretty tough to beat. Hopefully, Aaron Rodgers can really turn it up here, but we can only hope. And if a victory goes to the Steelers the way that we're thinking, I don't know if it's going to save Mike Tomlin's job a little bit, if he's going to get the 500 record for the umpteenth year in a row, because that's what he does. But I'm going to go ahead. I'll take the Steelers over the Dolphins 28-23. And according to Natali, he's taking the Dolphins over the Steelers 26-24.
Oh.
Well, he didn't actually officially make it his upset special, but I guess we could. Yeah, I guess we could count it that way.
Yeah.
So, y'all be sure to tune in tomorrow night, because I'll be very interested to hear what those guys have to say about their matchup.
Yeah.
I will be very interested. And I'm sure Flynn will be interested if I can answer his trivia question. Well, I already answered his trivia question. So, the one I had.
The two you had.
Yeah, I did have two. Okay. And of course, the first question you said the one question I asked you, you said you probably got. The two teams that played the Monday Night Football game 45 years ago last night, the game where Howard Cosell had to announce to the world that John Lennon had died. What two teams played?
The New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins, I believe.
The Patriots and the Dolphins, you believe, is correct. Well, let me see here. Where is that one button? And if I'm mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, if I read correctly, I think the Patriots won that one. A score of 16-13. A low-scoring game that night.
Yeah.
But, of course, kind of overshadowed with, of course, the untimely death of Mr. John Lennon. So my second question, I'll go ahead and get this. Now let's see if you can get this one. As I said, this past Sunday, Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh met for the 40th time in their lifetime coaching their teams, the Ravens and the Steelers. Question is, which two coaches have met each other the most times in NFL history?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tough question. But I feel like George Halas has to be on there because he coached the Bears for so long. So I'm going to go with him. And I'm going to go with Steve Owen of the Giants as the other one. So I'm going to go George Halas and Steve Owen.
Okay, you said George Halas. And your second answer was Steve Owen.
Mm-hmm. Almost a sweep.
Yep, yeah, didn't get this time. Well, you had to think. George Halas was the coach of the Bears for so long. And you have to think, who do they play more times? I mean, it's the longest rivalry in NFL history.
Is that the Packers?
It was George Halas and Curly Lambeau.
I mean, see, the thing is, I didn't know how long Lambeau was the coach of the Packers. I mean, so I couldn't nail that down. So
yeah, they met each other 49 times. So that's how it went over there. So, and I guess on that happy note, we will go ahead and wrap up. Dashy's question. We got Dashy's question. Let's see here. He always shows up at just the right time. I love his punctuality, you know.
It's that he actually asked this question 45 minutes ago.
Oh, he did, but I wasn't even paying attention. So my apologies to Dashy. And interesting question here. Which tight end leads the all-time record for most fumbles?
Most lost fumbles.
Most lost fumbles of all time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to throw a guess and say Kellen Winslow.
You're saying Kellen Winslow Sr.?
Yeah.
Kellen Winslow Sr. from the old San Diego Superchargers.
Yeah.
You know, that believe it or not, that was the first name that came to my mind. Kellen Winslow Sr. So Dashy, are we right, buddy?
It's I mean, I just looked up the answer. Neither one of us were close.
Oh, I think we had the answer. Travis Kelce. 12 lost fumbles. Travis Kelce. I wasn't expecting that.
Yep. And we have one more question. So, 12-man full PPR. We Drake May, Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, Derrick Henry, Woody Mark. So Jackson Smith and Jigba, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson, George Kittle, Harold Fannin. I mean, I think this is a loaded lineup.
Solid. It sounds solid to me.
That looks like a really good roster to me.
I think you may have something good there, Marcus. You may have something really, really good. I would not change a thing. So, Travis Kelce, 12 lost fumbles. Wow. Well, anyway, folks, we'll go ahead and put a bow on this edition of Fantasy Football Fever. Don't forget about Hooked on Sports with John Flynn. Remember, not only you can listen to him on your favorite podcast platforms, but you can also watch him on his YouTube channel. Got the dual thing going on right now. So be sure to catch him. He'll have his official NFL picks this Thursday. I think he's got a show coming either today or tomorrow, or sure. So check out Hooked on Sports, and of course, don't forget tomorrow night the Fannin Game Pick'em show with yours truly, of course, with Alex and Lucas. That's of course tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting for them to talk about their big Monday night matchup with the Steelers and the Dolphins here. Of course, don't forget about Hooked on Sports. Apple iTunes, Spotify, tune in anywhere you get podcasts. And of course, watch him on his YouTube channel right there. So,
Yep.
And hopefully, Mr. Natali will be back with us next week. So we'll recap Week 15 of the NFL. We'll recap the first round of our fantasy playoffs, and we'll move forward to the second round of the playoffs here.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
That's right, my friends. The fantasy playoffs are here. And hopefully over there where all you fantasy players are, your playoffs are starting now. So best of luck to all you. Let's go ahead and say goodnight, John. We'll take care, buddy. We'll hope to see everybody here 7 nights from now. So on behalf of our good friend John Natali and for John Flynn, I'm Tim McClelland. Thanks for watching us, everybody. Enjoy the games, everyone. God bless you all. And as always, be a good sport. See ya.